All right, everybody, so we started this writing adventure. We started with analyzing the prompt, so trying to figure out exactly what we were supposed to write about. Then on our circle map, or on one of them, we wrote all the trips that we have taken and we picked the one trip. On the next circle map, you created a circle map of that specific trip. You wrote all the details and you picked what 3 things you wanted to talk about for your specific essay. Then we created a flea map. We wrote those 3 things into those boxes and we added as many details as we could think that relate to those underneath it. We also wrote our introduction, making sure that it had at least 2 sentences. And remember, the introduction, it contains, or inside of that paragraph, you need to make sure that you have who, did what, when, and why. Okay, and then we also added our conclusion sentence, okay, making sure that we have at least 2 sentences as well. And within the conclusion, we can tell how we felt, we can give an opinion, we can tell what we hope, or we can talk about something that we will never forget from our trip. We also added in our transition words, and we wrote our title. Also yesterday we practiced reading off of our map. So today we are actually going to write our first, our rough draft. However, before we write our rough draft, we are going to need some lined pieces of paper because we're going to handwrite them, and you're going to need 5 colored pencils. So these are the colored pencils that I chose, and these colors are going to be the easiest. But again, if you want to do it in a different color, that will be fine as well. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to have you do is we're going to circle our introduction paragraph in green. Okay, we don't want to cover up like any of the words. Okay, we still want to be able to see everything. I just want you to know that everything in green is going to go in one paragraph. Okay, the next color that we're going to use is blue. So the blue we're going to use over here, we're going to get that transition word in there, and everything and all the details that you had about that first detail, okay, we're going to put in blue because we're going to put that into one paragraph. The next color that we are going to use is going to be purple. So we're going to take our purple color pencil and we're going to circle everything, all of our ideas and details that are going to relate to that second one. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and take our black colored pencil and circle everything that is going to be for the third detail, or our 4th paragraph. And then last but not least, we're going to use the red and we're going to circle everything that is going to be in our conclusion paragraph. Okay, so again, they don't have to be perfect or anything like that. The colors are just to show you the different paragraphs. So this is how we end up getting our 5 paragraphs. We have 1 paragraph, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start writing this. So I do have my lined piece of paper over here. Okay, and so the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to obviously put our name on our piece of paper. So over here in the corner, I'm gonna start off with writing my name. Okay, and then after I write my name, I'm gonna actually go ahead and write the title. So I decided that the title of my writing piece was going to be called Camping in Bishop. So you can go ahead and write your title. All right, and remember, if I start to go too fast or anything like that, make sure that you pause the video. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my map, and for my first paragraph, I'm just going to copy it word for word. I might read it to myself. So, one hot fall day in Bishop, my family and I went camping. It was our first family trip to Bishop and was highly recommended by our neighbors as their favorite camping place. Perfect. So that sounds pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to write that down So I'm going to remember kind of to indent. So kind of with 2 fingers, you're going to indent. I'm going to also skip a line. So one hot fall day in Bishop, my family and I went camping, period. And I have the map right next to me because I'm going word for word. So it was our first family trip to Bishop, and was highly recommended by our neighbors as their favorite camping place. Okay, so what I've done is I have completed writing this. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm lightly just gonna put an X over it. Okay, so I have wrote everything that is in that first paragraph. So again, I'm just lightly gonna put an X over it so I can still see it underneath, but I'm just lightly kind of covering it up, okay? So next I'm gonna start with the transition word that I had. I'm gonna write everything that is in blue over here, but remember we're putting it into complete sentences. We're not just putting early in the morning, hiking, waterfall, beautiful flowers, deer tracks, leaves, 10 miles lost, wake up early. Okay, so we wanna make sure that we are putting it into a complete sentence, all right? So I'm gonna start mine. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to skip a line for this time, and I'm again going to indent with my 2 fingers. So early in the morning, because that's the transition word or the transitional phrase that I used, we decided to go on a hike. Okay, so early in the morning we decided to go on a hike. So I'm kind of thinking now how I want to start this. So I'm going to start with typically I am not a morning person, but the hike was only supposed to be 3 miles. Okay. All right, so now I've kind of talked about this part. Okay, you can also do it individually. I also talked about kind of how I woke up early and I'm not really a morning person. So now I'm going to talk about all my other details that are on my map. So I'm going to put it to the side so I can see it a little bit better. And again, I'm kind of referencing off of my map though. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to talk about, I want to talk about the different things that I saw. Okay, so I'm going to go with on our hike. We saw many amazing animals and tracks. I was particularly interested in the deer tracks. So I talked about the deer tracks, okay. Also, we came across many beautiful flowers. Okay, so I talked about the beautiful flowers. Okay, when walking, I'm gonna change that. When walking through, because I gotta talk about the leaves. When walking through the mountains, the hike became a little challenging because the leaves were so thick it was like walking through snow. Okay, so now I talked about the thick leaves. Okay, so I still have to talk about the waterfall and kind of how we ended up getting lost. Okay, so I'll talk about, however, when we reached the top of the mountain, there was a gorgeous waterfall. I'm going to talk about, let's see, but because I need to talk about how we got lost. But on our way back, we got lost. And the 3-mile hike turned into and I'm going to continue on the next page. I'm not going to write on the back. Continued into a 10-mile hike. Perfect. All right, so I talked about the waterfall and I talked about the 10 miles. So we can go ahead and since I talked about everything, we can go ahead and put an X over there. Okay, so making sure that you have done all this work to create the map. So since you've done all the work, you want to make sure that you are using the map. Okay, so I'm going to keep continuing. I am going to pause the video though and make the next video.